I'm going to give a little bit of time here for people to get the notification and come in. This is a live. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you for watching. Today we're going to make a really fun card. I love how this card turned out. I think it turned out so pretty. We're going to use some new gut dies that came out in Waffle Flower's July release. If you haven't checked out the release, you really should, but the whole theme for this July release is Christmas in July, and there are some really beautiful stamps and dies, some that I think I will be reaching for year after year after year. They're just really handy and versatile, including the one we're going to be using today. So I'll give you a little peek of the die. This is the Slimline Christmas Tree die. You can see here it creates it's designed for a slimline card base or a slimline card. So it's this nice long kind of style of card. You have this beautiful tree, lots of stitched details. We're going to be using the main die here as well as this Christmas tree today. So I'm going to go ahead and get the camera away from my face and let's get started on today's card. So just give me a minute here to adjust the view and we'll get started. All right, tighten this up so we're not tipping over. Okay, that looks pretty good. Great. All right, so you can actually see my finished card here a little bit. I'll move everything around so you can get a good look. Gotta adjust my work surface here. All right, there we are. So that is the finished card we're creating today, and I think I need to zoom out just a hair. So give me a minute. I feel like that's a little bit too close. So hold tight. I'm gonna try to do this without bouncing the camera around too much, but it'll probably be pretty bouncy. Let's get up a little bit. There we go. That's much better. Okay, so that's the finished card. This is the slimline card we're making today. And you can see it's very shiny, even still lots of color, but pretty much a cash card, a clean and simple card. We are gonna add sequins into that windowed opening of the Christmas tree, and we are gonna back it with a little secret for filling in that space so it seems like a very solid background. And that secret is mirrored gold cardstock in the background. And then we'll make a sentiment using the Cozy Holiday Sentiment Set. And this one's pretty cool because we're gonna do some heat embossing on mirrored cardstock. Not sure if you've ever tried that before, but I love doing it. It's kind of a great kind of tool to have in your tool belt for when you need a sentiment to kind of match your other mirrored cardstock elements in your card. So I think it's handy to know. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I do is make my card base. I'm gonna grab my paper trimmer here because we're gonna make a slimline card base, but we're gonna actually do a base that I like to call an economical slimline card base, because we're gonna be left with, from a single 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, we'll be left with a panel that we can use for the card front as well. So let me cut this here. Do one thing before I get that going. Make sure everything's going here. So I've got my paper trimmer. And this is heavyweight cardstock too. It's 110-pound weight. Open this up. And let me pop it in here. So the first cut I'm gonna make, well, I should say the standard slimline card base is actually 8 5/8 by 7 or by 3 5/8. That's what would the standard front would be. We're gonna make it a little bit smaller. We're actually gonna trim off basically 1/8 from each side. And that's gonna be, just by making that small adjustment, that will leave us with a nice scrap that we can use to create our card front. So I'm gonna open this up here. Oops, sorry guys, I'm trying to do something on the computer at the same time just to make sure our live is good. Let's see. Because I'm not sure it's working right. Just gonna check here. Try one more thing. I'm really sorry. Just give me one more second here. Not sure what's going on because I can't find the live. Let's see. Okay, maybe that changed it. Let's see, I'm so sorry. This is a new thing. It's never happened before. Okay, now I see it. Okay, so now we're live. All right. I am so sorry about that, but now I've got it figured out. I guess it wasn't public before, but now we are. Okay. So let me, hi Shay, sorry, I guess it wasn't public before, but I got it figured out now. So I haven't really started. I'm gonna create my card base first, but this is what we're making today. I did a little sneak on Instagram, and I guess I shared it on Facebook too, but this is we're making a slimline card. The first thing I do is create the base. Actually, I have this taped together for photos, but a slimline card base is typically 8, hold it this way, 8 5/8, so actually a little bit bigger than an 8 1/2 width of your typical size sheet of paper, and then it's 3 5/8. That's a typical slimline card base. We are going to make what I like to call a more economical slimline card base just by cutting off an 1/8 of an inch from the side and the top, and that will leave us, by doing that little change, will leave us with a good scrap on the end for our front panel, which we need to make to make this card. So okay, there we go. Oh, I'm glad I figured it out. Sorry guys, you haven't missed anything if you just joined. I didn't realize it wasn't public yet, so now we're all set. All right, so I'm gonna make that card base real quick. Let me get out my paper trimmer. And we are gonna do, I believe this is 3 1/2. Let me make sure. Yeah, 3 1/2. So this is 3 1/2, so that doubled is 7. So we'll cut that first. Where's my 7? There he is. And we don't need to cut this side because that's 8 1/2, and that's exactly what we want. Thank you, Christy. The fun thing about the card that I'm sharing with you today, you can basically take this concept and do a ton of different backgrounds. You may have not seen, or may you have, JJ, she's the designer of this awesome die. This is the, let me grab it here, the Slimline Christmas Tree die. She designed this, and she did like stripes of cardstock. So little strips of cardstock behind there. That would be a great thing to kind of fill in that windowed opening, that Christmas tree opening. You can also do like little jewels. You could even make it a shaker card. I'm not doing that today. I'm keeping it more on the simpler side, and we're gonna do the sequins. Now these sequins were really cheap. I bought this a big bag of assorted sequins a long time ago. I know I bought it from Joann's, and it came with all of these sequins that I'm using today, some different sized ones too, and so it's a pretty cost-effective way too. It could be a good, it does, I will say it is kind of time consuming to glue down all the sequins, but you could make this a simpler card. You could just do pattern paper behind here instead of sequins as well, and that's would be a really cool card design too, and be better for mass production. But this is a fancy one, I think. This is a stunner, I think, because people will be surprised by, or they'll like all that shine, I think. I know I do anyways. So I've made my slimline card base, or my economical slimline card base. You can see I've cut my, hello, thanks for joining us, Terry. I've cut my, or Tara, sorry, I've cut my card base, or my cardstock down. So this is 8.5, this is 7, and then I have this left over, and we can use this for our card front. So isn't that great? If you made your standard slimline card base, you wouldn't have enough cardstock left over to make a front panel. You'd have to go grab another piece of cardstock for your front panel. So this, I think, is a really more green, more economical way to make a slimline card base, and all you're doing is cutting down 1/8 of an inch from the top and the bottom on both sides. So it's only 1/4 of an inch smaller. So you can still use your standard slimline envelope, and I don't think it would look like you made the card, it wouldn't even look that much smaller. In fact, I can grab, if I have it somewhere around here, let me grab you and show you another card I made that's actually a standard slimline card base. So just so you can see, I gotta find it first. Give me 1 second. I got stuffed animals all over the floor. So here's our standard slimline card base. Can you see? It's hardly any smaller, right? Hardly any smaller. And by just making that little change, you have a whole panel left over, which we are going to use to make our card front. Okay, so enough about that. That's kind of boring. Let me move on to the fun stuff. So let's score this real quick. This gets scored at 3.5. And I do have YouTube's videos on Waffle Flower's channel where I, give you all the measurements for slimline, the economical slimline card base. Did I score this on the wrong thing? I think I did, but luckily you won't notice when we put our, oh, it is really just off. Okay. Well, that's what you get sometimes with these recollection panels. Let's see if I can't straighten her out a little bit. Dimensions again are 8.5 by 7, and then you score at 3.5. That's the economical slimline card base. 8.5 by 7, score at 3.5. Of course, this one's a little wonky because of my sheet of cardstock wasn't really, what's the word? Nice and straight when I started with it, but we've straightened it out there. Okay, and don't worry about that. Since we're covering this with the top panel, that will go away. So now let's trim our slimline panel, which is 8.5 by 3.5. Very simple. Actually, I'm not even going to trim it. I'm just going to run it through my die cutting machine with that die. I could trim it first, but let's just cut out a step. Let's cut out one. So the Slimline Christmas Tree die set comes with this awesome stitched slimline panel die. So I'm going to line it up here. Now it's going to fit perfectly lengthwise, but we have a little left over on the width. Now I like to flip it over and check. And I'm going to grab a couple pieces of tape here before I really get it in the right spot. This is micro pour tape. Just any kind of low tack tape will work. Don't want anything really sticky. I'm just gonna eyeball it first, and then I'll adjust once I tape it down, which I know sounds kind of ironic, but it's hard to adjust it without a little bit of sticky kind of holding everything in place. And I think I eyeballed it pretty good. So we can go a little left over here. Yeah, he can go for the ride. He can hang along for the ride, that's fine. All right, I'm just gonna run it through my die cutting machine. And then I'll have, and actually we can go ahead and do this at the same time. We can do this at the same time, so let's do it. I'm gonna center it in that opening of the panel. And make sure we get it actually centered. We have to lift this up a little bit. Kind of nice to do it all at once though. And grab another piece of micro pour tape. Kind of place that down. I am going to try to be careful with my micro pour tape. Here I'm probably okay. I might adjust this. Whoops, that didn't go very good. I'm trying to avoid putting a lot of it on the surface of the paper. So I'm trying to use it to hold my dies in place without having a lot of the tape on the surface of my cardstock, because it will often leave little impressions, little like scored areas, and I don't like the way that looks. I want it to be all smooth. So I'm going to adjust this one just a bit here, a little bit more to the edge. And that will probably not leave as much tape impression. I'm sure if you've die cut before, you've seen that happen. Now, I can't die cut this all in one go, because you can see it does just barely fit, but once I position it on here, I can't really feed it into my die cutting machine for some reason. I need to push it down, and then I can get it actually into my die cutting machine. For some reason, when it's all lined up like this, it's just a little bit too thick. When I angle it down like this, it has a little bit more of a slope, and I can feed it into my die cutting machine better. So what that means is I'm going to kind of stop about halfway, and then I'm going to have to actually adjust this panel. Let's do it on camera so you can see everything. Let me move my die cutting machine here. So there we go. And yes, my die cutting machine is always covered in little scraps of tape. So we're gonna line it up something like that. And I'm gonna stop just about short here. It is squeaky. So I'm gonna stop right there, back it out. Oops, sorry. Bumped the camera a little bit, I apologize. Now basically only half of it's cut. Move it here carefully to keep all the tape. Don't need that little star. Oh, yours is covered with tape too? Good, Shay. I'm not the only one. I'm in good company. And I think I'm just gonna make a mental note of where I need to go. So about here. So I wanna go at least that far. I try not to go completely over it just in case I somehow double die cut it. Love all the tape. It's pretty messy. But it's handy to grab every once in a while, but I do need to clean it probably more often. Oops, I'm trying so hard not to bump the camera and I keep bumping it. Okay. There, I think we got it. Let's see. Perfect. No double die cutting, which is a bit of a fear, but no, it cut perfectly. That's why it's really essential for something like this, especially slimline dies where they don't quite fit completely onto your platforms or into your die cutting machine, to use that tape to hold that die in place so it doesn't move around. Oh good, everybody, so this is a common thing. Everybody covers theirs. The couple of our crafters I've crafted with didn't, and I was like, oh, am I the only one who does this? That's good to know. I'm not alone. I'm in good company. All right, so we got that done. Let's take off the tape and reveal our front panel. Careful to take off this tape too to not kind of mar my surface too much. Isn't it a great die? I love it. I think it's so pretty. It's nice and clean and simple. And again, you can do something like we're doing today, where it's like a window and then you get to do fun things to the background, to the opening, or you can make a shaker card. I didn't do it because I know I make shaker cards a lot and I'm trying to broaden my horizons and not always make shaker cards. But I'll grab a piece of pattern paper just so you can see what I mean with the pattern paper, because that's a great solution for simplifying and for mass producing. Let me grab a piece of pattern paper. So we have Christmas pattern paper. That would work great. It's just quite a trek right now. I'm afraid to go the other way. Yeah, it would be a fun one. So Waffle Flower has Christmas pattern paper, like simple ones that are lines. Lots of different colors, and some are angled stripes, some are just straight across, some are even solid. Now there's also another version kind of like this, same colors, but with dots, with polka dots. And then here's some pattern paper. Now, of course, you can use any pattern paper, but what a great use of pattern paper, right? Let's just put it on top of the striped. How pretty is that? Oh, I love it. This is when I was thinking more of the colorful stripes. How gorgeous is that, right? And so simple. And you can have fun, you know, so if you are mass producing like the same design, this would be a great way to kind of have some fun and change it up a little bit, so you're not feeling like you're making the same card over and over and over again and it'd be kind of boring. Yes, it's a great way to use scraps. You can do like JJ did, and she just used scraps of colored cardstock. But even scraps of pattern paper work great, because it does not obviously have to be the whole panel. You just need enough to fill the tree opening. But super fun, right? Oh, I love seeing it with those different colors. Like here's a straight across. This Christmas pad is called Christmas Stripes, so it's all stripes. But it of course doesn't have to be stripes. It could be like that too. I think we have one other one. This is the Liz Meitinger Happy Gnomes. Not totally Christmas, but kind of Christmassy. There's polka dots. The only one I wanted to try in here is I just wanted to see what it looked like with the, I think there's a snowflake one in here. I'm just curious what that would look like. That's a cool one. Ribbon scraps, that's a brilliant idea. Yes. And that'd be a great use of those. Or even, I've seen crafters use like embroidery thread. I think somebody even did that for the release, did an embroidery thread one. Or something similar. I think it was Rachel. She did something with thread. Lots of fun you can have filling that window, huh? Okay, so let's move on to our card here. So basically the hard work is done already. We now just get to do like the plug and chug. The hardest part I think was die cutting that tree and front panel and making our card base, but now that we're done with that, we can kind of start to figure this out. I am going to start by grabbing my scrap of mirrored cardstock. This is all I have left. Very fresh. Oh, you're going to get to see me. Very shiny. This is going to work as a great backdrop for our sequins that we put behind here, because it has that similar shine. So it's going to make a much more cohesive background, because obviously I can't get the sequins totally touching, like totally covering the background. A nice solution for this too, if you don't want to use a panel of, I'm not going to use a whole panel, but if you don't want to use mirrored, you can use that much mirrored cardstock. I think even like a black cardstock would be pretty too behind there. So let's see if I can cut a piece. And here's the good thing too, is like, even though this part's I don't know if you can see, this part is a little damaged, even that's a little scratched, that's the part I'm using because I'll use the rest, the nice part for another card, but a little bit of damage or folded won't matter at all for our background. So it's a great use if you have a little bit messed up cardstock or mirrored cardstock. You could use it for something like this, like a backdrop. All right, I'm going to try to do it this way. I know that's my bad corner. I don't want to draw on the mirrored cardstock. I could do it like this. I think I will. So I'll just trace it here so I know what I need to make sure I include. And I'll just kind of cut along there, leaving a little border because I want it to go a little bit beyond the opening. Just grab my scissors. There we go. Okay, and that's all we need. I'm going to save this though for our sentiment later. And make sure we did it. Phew, we did it. How many of you, I've cut things before, oh, I got like stuff on there. I've cut things before where I thought I had it all right and then I just was being too stingy and cut it a little bit too close and then I couldn't use that whole piece. Oh, I hate when I do that. Sometimes I'm like, I just need to be a little bit, it's okay to add a little bit more. Don't be so stingy with it. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I need to glue this down first. So I'm going to add some liquid adhesive to the back side and keep that panel ready to go and handy to make sure that I have this little scrap of mirrored cardstock, oops, in the right spot. So, and that liquid glue will give me a tiny bit of wiggle room. And I could also draw the opening on the card front too. That would work as well. But I got it there. It looks good. Looks in place. Woohoo! Okay, now we're ready for the sequins. So let me show you my sequins. I was saying before, I got a big bag of sequins from Joann's a long time ago. And because I wanted more colors, but I didn't want to pay for like each individual color, so I bought this assorted bag. It has since transferred to a Ziploc bag, but look at all the sequins you get. Tons. You get white. You get like basically every color. You get gold. All the colors I'm using for today's, I think except for the purple. Is the purple in here? I think except for the purple came from this assorted sequence bag. And I think it was really reasonably priced because I think it's more for kids' crafts. But of course, you have to kind of sort it out, but you don't really have to sort it out for this card. You can just kind of dump it and start using it. I am crazy and I sorted some of it out. I don't think I would recommend this for everybody, but I kind of enjoy doing it. When I was young, my grandma had a button collection and what we did for fun was sort all the buttons. And that's kind of what this reminded me of. All right, let me get my adhesive. This is what I'm using today for these sequins. Hi, don't worry, you're fine. We're just getting to the good stuff. So this is Nuvo crystal drops. This is, usually they're used for dimensional like embellishments, but this happens to be completely clear. So if I were to squeeze this out, it'd be a nice little like dewdrop. In fact, it's called Morning Dew. But I really like this as an adhesive. Well, I like it for making little dewdrops, but I really like this for an adhesive for my sequins, basically any dimensional kind of element, like an enamel dot, if it doesn't have an adhesive already on it, gems, sequins, confetti, anything like that, I will use this as an adhesive, and I really like it for that. I'm gonna grab my little dish here. And I'm going to probably use tweezers. And now we're just going to kind of get going and sit down and start to fill this up. So I'm going to sit down here. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. and we'll start gluing. So what I used some orange. I used all the colors of the rainbow, basically. So I'm just gonna get started. Start gluing them down. So this part will definitely take some time, but I think you will enjoy it. I really like this part. You could also speed it up by using bigger sequins. You don't have to use such tiny ones. That will definitely make it go a lot faster. A lot of these are pretty big. So that's definitely a possibility. And I kind of try to go in rainbow order. So I know I started with the orange, but you can see I'm going yellow, orange, kind of clustering the rainbow together. I'll go a little, one of my favorite colors is kind of limey green. I love that color. Let's grab a pink. Just keep plugging and chugging here. Do a little blue there. Oops. I'm starting to grab, I should grab some and just start putting them out. Oops. And I will stop and check, kind of grab my top panel periodically and see how I'm doing. Am I filling it up? Yeah, looks like I could do a cup, one here and one there. So I will. Let's do a purple one here. Throw some of them down there. Do that with all my colors. And what do we put over here? Did I miss any colors? I think that's all of them. We'll start over again. Let's do we'll do my favorite green. Maybe a blue. Maybe a red. How about a red? Down here. So just kind of a slow plug and chug, filling in those spaces. I've also used, for a similar idea, but not, I didn't use sequins, I used like these gems that I got at like Michael's. I'll pull those out. That would be a fun one too. That would go a little bit faster than this because they're bigger. So anything if you want to speed this up and still do something kind of like the gem or the sequins, make sure they're just bigger, you know, take up more surface area. Let me grab my crystals that I used one time. If I can find them. My girls like to get them out here and play with them. This is what I used one time for a card too. And I know they sell these, they come in big packs like this. That's the only downside, but I think you can get some smaller little baggies because you don't need this much. But wouldn't these be fun too? These gems for a background. They're not too thick, really. Let's hold them up. You might have to double up your craft foam. Yeah, I love gems too. And I think they don't get used very much in cards, at least in I've seen them on Hallmark cards before, but I don't see card makers use them that much. But they would be really pretty option too for this background. But I'm gonna try to do this fast. It's probably not possible, but I'm going to try. So has anybody tried doing a background, something similar to this? It doesn't have to be sequins, but like, could be like what everybody was saying, suggesting like strips of paper, or, oh, I had a dark green, that's what I forgot. I knew I forgot one. What was it? Oh, ribbon was one of the suggestions. I think that's a really great idea, ribbon. Keep going in here. Back to orange, I think. But the most time consuming part is this bottom, obviously, because that's the bigger part. We'll grab another big yellow. He's really big. He's a big guy. Maybe a big red too. I'm just kind of grabbing at this point. Grabbing and putting down whatever I get. Put pink here. And I like the different size. It kind of reminds me of those ornament wreaths. I love the ones with those vintage ornaments. They're so pretty. Let's do a green. We just got back from a camping trip last night, and it was a lot of fun. But camping can kind of wear you out. It's like relaxing, but also I think just the process of packing up all the stuff and bringing it home. Yeah, that's a good idea. I can totally see him doing this for my 3 children and then pattern paper. That'd be great. That'd be great. Pattern paper would be a great solution. And it would speed things up for sure. I need more blue, don't I? So here we're getting to that little damaged corner, but you're not going to see it once we get some of these sequins on top. Ah! Let's grab a smaller one. A smaller orange. Just keep going along here. And you can leave some spaces. You don't have to worry so much about your spacing because of that mirrored cardstock. That's a pretty nice way to feel like you don't. Time for our purple, I think. We need some more blue too. Let's find a big blue. We're getting there. That's pretty good already. Let's do a stop and check how we're doing. Nice. I like it. It would be cool to even almost leave it like that. Don't you think? That'd be kind of a neat concept too. That'd be pretty as well. If you didn't want to do the whole thing, I kind of like that sort of unfinished look. Red. So much you could do with this die, I think. There's lots of things. And the design team made some really cool samples. They really went all in. Oh, stick it to my fingers. Fingers are getting a little sticky. Probably should use I don't use my tweezers as much as I probably should. I find my fingers sometimes easier to work with than my tweezers. Whoop. What are we gonna put there? Teeny one we can fit in there? Teeny orange. I'm making a big mess, that's for sure. There we go. And that that glue stays, the Nuvo Crystal Drop stays liquidy for a little while, so that's nice. It gives you a little bit of time to move things around and adjust a little bit if you need to make room for one sequence like I did there. It was just that gap I left was just a little too small. Excuse me. I felt that sneeze coming and I was trying to stop it, but I couldn't. Let's do a little yellow here. They really do look like ornaments, I think. Embossed background. Oh, that's a great idea, Christy. Oh, thank you guys. Embossed background would be really pretty. You could almost do different sections with different embossing powders. That would be pretty cool. It'd be neat to have like different, you know how there's like a gold, silver, different metal embossing powders? Wouldn't that be pretty if you had like almost stripes with different embossing powders? I like that idea. Ooh, everybody's coming up with really good ideas. That down there. I think it's time for another orange. Maybe something over here. Probably don't need to worry about over there. But I'll put a couple down just in case. Another yellow there. I think last time I checked yeah, I totally didn't need to even bother with that. We're well within the okay, add a few drops, see if I can go a little bit faster. Add this green. This one's my favorite. I don't know why. I really like this color. Kind of a limey green. We need another pink. That's one I also like, is that pink. But I can't grab anything with the tweezers. I just have to use my fingers. There we go. Probably another yellow. Just kind of looking and seeing what we're missing, like what I haven't put on the tree in a while. Okay, I guess we'll do small one. Big one wasn't coming up. Definitely need a green. And we'll put a blue here. Let's go for a big blue this time. So yes, time consuming, so this probably is not the best for mass production, this kind of idea. This would probably be something I would do if I knew I was going to give the person like a gift certificate and I wanted to make it feel more like a gift. So I'd probably use this as a gift, like a way to give a gift. It'd seem more substantial that way. What do we need? We need some red. Huh, let me grab some red out of here. I love how bright they are too. I wanted to show you guys what temperature it was today. So when we went camping, we went for the cool weather because here in Phoenix, here in Arizona, we're in the hundreds. I think today, I know we're probably at least 108. But the cool weather, we had to go up, you know, very high in elevation to get some 80-degree temps. I think that was the highs, like 80. And it still felt warm. But we could actually be outside for a little bit. It's nice to go camping in the summer in Arizona to kind of beat the heat a little bit. Or get away from it. here. Time for a new yellow. Let's do a big guy. A big guy. I like doing the different sizes. I love how it changes it up. Let's do an orange again. Oh, I think pink. I love that pink. I think pink and the lime green are my favorites. Oh, I don't want orange. What do I want? Green? Yeah, let's do green. Are there any I'm missing? Let's do another red. We haven't done red in a while. And then we'll do a check and see where we're at. Where's my panel? Here it is. 80s, where humidity in Ohio makes it miserable to be outside. Oh no! I love the dry heat. I do. It's hot, but like I said, we drove you can drive an hour and get into 80-degree temperatures from Phoenix. So that's why I really like Arizona. You can change it, just a hour-long drive, you can be in the woods. We're doing good. We're getting there. I think we need a little one there though. We'll do blue. Yeah, I wouldn't complain about the dry heat. But it does feel like being in an oven sometimes. I think that's a very accurate description. I don't know what to do there. Let's do purple. Let's do a couple dots here. See if we can get several down fairly quickly. Ooh, let's do a nice big green one. Have I been to Ohio in the summer? No, I haven't been there. I've been to Florida during the summer. That's definitely a humid place. It was very, very hot. We went to Orlando, of course, went to Disneyland, Disney World, I mean. And I've been to New Orleans in the summer. But I think the hottest place I've been to was probably Orlando. That was really hot. That was pretty rough. But we were outdoors, you know, we were doing the park, so we were outdoors really pushing it. Not kicking back and keeping it easy. It's time for one of my favorite greens, I think. And time for another check. Let's see how far we are. We are almost done. You see that? I think I just need one more. Boom, just like that. Went from halfway to done. I just think I need one more at the top. I think we'll cap it off with a little pink. It's not so bad. It looks kind of intimidating at first. It's like, oh my gosh, this is gonna take forever. I mean, I'm not gonna lie and say it was super fast, but it's not as bad as it looks, I think. So we're gonna finish with a gold sequence in the star, but I wanna clean up real quick before we do that and actually adhere our panel down first, just to make sure I get that gold sequence perfectly centered in the center of the star. That's the one sequence that I'm kind of concerned about its placement. So let me kind of pick these up and clean up here a teeny bit. Don't necessarily need to do them all. Sort these. This is where I This side is where I got the messiest. My daughter thought this was fun too. She wanted to she wanted to sort my sequins too. And I said, okay, you can sort. You can have whatever you sort is yours. Because I've had this bag of assorted sequins for years now, and I haven't put even a dent in it. So pretty good investment. Especially if you don't mind sorting through it a little bit or digging through the bag. You just definitely don't have to sort it if you're not as crazy as me, but you could just leave it in the bag and pull out what you want. All right, almost done here. Let's do this orange section and then we are ready to move on to topping that panel. All right, let me get that out of the way. All right, so I want to lift this up for a little bit of dimension. I want some foam adhesive to do that. So let me grab my foam tape. Flip this over. Now, because I have some sequins going beyond my opening, I'm going to make sure I keep a good buffer around my tree opening, so I can allow the sequins to, so they don't bump into each other, the foam, or overlap each other. I might even cut this in half. Probably should get my thinner foam adhesive, but that would make it too easy. You could just go around the frame if you wanted to. But I always like to go into the interior a little bit, give it a little bit more support. So I'll go into here as well. No one comes to here. We do some I've done some crafty retreats in Ohio. That's how I've come there. And Simon Says Stamp is in Ohio, and they are doing you're lucky if you're there, because you could go to the Simon Says Stamp 2020, like, I guess it's not a retreat. I don't know what they call it. Has anybody gone to that before? I've gone one time with Waffle Flower, and it is so much fun. Like, you'll get a class in person from like Jennifer McGuire or Christina Werner. It's just Tim Holtz. It's such a cool, what is it called though? Yeah, I think it's called Simon Says Create is the event. Super cool. And that happens in Ohio. Probably in the spring though. They just put out the advertising too for it. I'm debating to go this year, well, I guess it wouldn't be this year, it'd be 2022. That's when they're having it, but I'm like, I think I want to go. Okay. So there, I got our foam adhesive. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the backing on that. Kept a nice border here open, so I don't bump into the sequins. Hopefully that's enough. Oh, you're gonna go create, it's not Creativation. What is it called? I'm gonna have to look it up now. Let me look it up. I think I can find it pretty quickly. Creativation actually has been happening here in Phoenix. So I've been lucky in that regard, because I've been able to go to Creativation a couple of times. They didn't share it? Oh, here it is. Simon Says Create. That's what it's called. It's going to be April 29th and 30th in Columbus, Ohio. So that would be something fun. They're coming to Florida next year? I didn't know where they were going to go. Yeah, I don't think they're doing it in Arizona anymore. I think that's what I heard. They used to do it in Anaheim before Phoenix. That's Creativation. They used to do it. there. Ooh, man, if they did it in Florida, maybe I could go to Disney World. I think they try to switch it up a little bit. A lot of people complained about Phoenix. I mean, I think I would complain about Phoenix too if the place I was going to before was Anaheim and right by Disneyland. Yeah, I would complain about that too. I'd prefer to go to... Some people liked it, some people didn't. At least it was Phoenix in the winter time, so the weather wasn't the problem. But hard to beat being very close to Disneyland, I would say. At least in my opinion, I agree with that. Okay, so we got our panel stuck down, a little bit of dimension there. Throw away all my backings. Look at that. So pretty, right? Looks like jewelry. So pretty. So now we have our last sequence was the gold one. I think I got a gold one in here. I see one. I'll pull him out. Where did he go? Oh no, he disappeared. See, is that too big? There's a whole bunch. Ah, there's the perfect size. So you can fish him out too. There he is. And that's so crazy. The mirrored gold, like sequence matches the gold cardstock like perfectly. Isn't that great? They're like the perfect shade. So I'm gonna grab my Nuvo, drop here, add a little bit of adhesive. That's our last bit. And now all we have left to do is our sentiment. Oops. There we go. Oh, I'm so glad you like it. It's such a fun die. I think you'll really enjoy it because I think there's just a bunch you can do with it. Isn't that pretty with that little sequence in the star center? I love that radiating stitches. It would work without a sentiment, totally. It would totally work without a sentiment shade. In fact, I think I kind of would like it better without a sentiment, but I'm gonna add a sentiment anyways, just to show you guys how to do, not that it's anything different than what you normally do when you heat emboss, but just so you can see it. Let's do, I did Happy Holidays, let's do Merry Christmas for this one. Do something a little different. Grab my Misty. I just think this is a cool thing. I think I saw Jennifer McGuire do it first once, heat embossing on mirrored cardstock. It's a great way to sometimes get things to match a little bit. Sometimes that matters. I think, is this gonna fit in here? Let's cut that little piece off. Then it will sort of fit in here. Good enough, I say. Yeah, it's white on the back. So mirrored and white on the back. This is probably just like American Crafts. I think I got this at like Michael's. It is thick though. It is like a, almost like poster board thickness. Well, probably a little bit thinner. I mean, it's not poster board, it's cardstock. It's in the open cardstock sections. I feel like I have to cut this. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to stamp this twice. Well, let's see if we can do it. Okay, I don't want to cut it because I don't want to lose any of this precious mirrored cardstock. It's just so handy to have, and this is my last sheet. I'm gonna have to go and buy some more. If I somehow cut it, I'll cut it in a way that I won't be able to use it for whatever. That's just my luck. I'll cut it somehow way down, and then suddenly it's no longer the dimensions I need for another project in the future, of course. Okay, let's do Merry Christmas. And I taped it down just because I don't have a nice corner. You see, I don't have a nice 90-degree corner to really make sure, as like a register, to make sure my cardstock is always in alignment, always lining up to the corner. I really rely on that with my Misty, but I don't have a nice corner here. So I'm using tape to hopefully help so when this stamp doesn't pick the cardstock up with it when after I stamp it. And I have a brand new embossing ink pad. Woohoo! It finally came. No more black embossing ink pad. I've got a nice clean white one. Let's see how long I can keep it clean. All right. Pick that guy up. We will still do anti-static powder. I need to get my gold embossing powders at the ready. There we go. Put that down. And then I'll ink this up. Ooh, feels very juicy. All right, let's see. I can probably, because mirrored cardstock is so shiny, the surface is so shiny, I am careful not to press too hard. But it is surprisingly easy. Let's get that hair out of there. And that might be all we need. I'm looking at it, I can see it. Especially since it's a nice fresh ink pad. I don't think I gotta stamp it twice. Normally I would stamp something twice with embossing ink, but I think there's two things working in my favor. The mirrored cardstock, it's not absorbing into the paper as much. And I don't even think it's really absorbing at all. And I have a nice new ink pad. Okay, let's grab something to help put this gold embossing powder over it. Yeah, that worked perfectly. You see it? Perfect. I might do a little cleanup. Let's see if we've got any powder sticking somewhere we don't want it. I will say it's a little hard to tell what is on the mirrored cardstock, what is anti-static powder and what is embossing powder. I can't really tell the difference that much. I think I have a little bit of embossing powder there. I'm gonna get my finer brush and clean that up. That's the only thing, it's a little staticky, that mirrored cardstock, so sometimes a little sticking even with the embossing or the anti-static powder. Do I have it there? I think I got a fingerprint or something. I always try to get my embossing powder perfect. But it is sometimes almost an impossible task. Switching to a thinner brush here, and this is doing the trick. There we go. Now we're cooking. All right, I'm gonna heat set this. Let's maybe put a lid on that. Wow. What a difference a nice embossing pad makes. Wow. I got a lot of powder on there. The lines look great. Awesome. Okay, now I'm just gonna trim down to a strip. I'm gonna grab my, I'm gonna grab my ruler and an X-Acto knife. That's kind of my favorite way to do it. And we're gonna cut this end off first. Make Make sure I definitely got that all heat set. Looks good. I can even do a little wipe down with my micro fiber here and clean that off. All right. Okay, one side cut. Now the other. This would also look great with a nice black and white sentiment, I think, too. Don't have to do the mirrored gold. It's just, this is kind of fun and different. Can I get it there? All right. And I'll just use my scissors for the last bit. I always just eyeball it. You could definitely use your X-Acto knife too. But those sides, I always just eyeball it. Look at how pretty that looks. So cool. Get that out of the way and we're ready to wrap this card up. So I'll grab our Slimline card. And now I just gotta figure out where to put it. I think I'll put it down here again. Such a festive card, I think. It really feels like Christmas. I had so much fun making samples with this release, guys. I guess I'm ready for Christmas already. But I don't want to skip Halloween. I do love Halloween too. Oh, here we go. Here's my foam tape. I'm just gonna run one right across. What did I do last time? Did I double it up? No, I think I ran it right across. I wonder if I doubled it up, it'll be too thick. Because we definitely have some thickness there. Oh, thank you, Christy. I'm so glad you like it. Center that. I'm not going to double it up. It will rest on the sequence. Yeah, it does a great job. It just rests right on the sequence. No need to double. And it's all done. So we got our Happy Holidays one, our Merry Christmas one. Look at how pretty they look together. Oh my gosh. Don't they look great together? Oh, it would be so fun to do more of these. I want to try some of the ideas that you guys suggested. The ribbon would be fun. I think it'd be fun to use the gems too. Of course, pattern paper is a great solution. It really makes it a lot faster, but a really fun way to do it too. I think there's so many things you could do. You can even do pattern paper here and do mirrored cardstock for the star if you want to do that. I think that'd be a nice, it would be even fun to kind of just do green and then just use a couple sequins as ornaments, you know, have the background, the tree be green, and then just a couple here and there. Oh, good. And think doing the stitching underneath. Yeah, the stitching is a good idea too. Yeah, I think there's so many fun things. That's why I think this is a fun set, because there's just, I feel like it gets those ideas flowing. Okay, so I'm gonna turn the camera back to my face and sign out. So give me a second here to figure out how to put my hand over a screen. All right. We'll turn that down a little bit more. Oh, we gotta do that. Okay. It's so funny how every time I forget how to do it, but that was fun. Thank you guys. I know that was maybe a little tedious to watch the sequence part, but it is really, I enjoy doing it, but I enjoy that, seeing it kind of grow and become full of that sparkly, colorful sequence. I enjoy that process, even though it's a little bit time consuming and tedious, but I enjoy seeing it all done. And this is a pretty Kaz card, and I definitely want to try it with some of those suggestions that you guys did. I think that would be fun to change it up. Maybe even do something instead of white cardstock, maybe try craft or colored cardstock, something really pretty like maybe a fuchsia. There's so many ideas. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll be doing another live on Waffle Flowers Instagram on Friday at 3 p.m. So I hope you guys can join me for that live too. Bye everyone, thank you.